The sky bled orange as Dahlia Reed leapt between buildings, boots skidding. Her heart hammered with thrill. 6 stories below, oblivious humans scurried. Above, floating elven cities caught the dying sunlight. She didn't pause to admire the view. Governor Hask's thugs had spotted her 2 rooftops back, and the package strapped to her back was worth more than she'd make in a month of regular runs.
Oi! Stop right there!
A guard's voice echoed from behind. Dahlia grinned. They always said that, as if she'd actually stop. She sprinted toward the edge of the building, feeling the familiar tingle start in her calves. The longer she ran, the stronger it grew. A warmth that spread through her muscles, making each step lighter, each movement faster. The next gap was twice as wide as the previous one. Impossible by normal human standards. Dahlia wasn't normal. She launched herself, ambient magic flowing into her. For a moment, she hung between buildings, feeling the energy currents, then tucked into a roll as she landed. The guard skidded to a halt at the edge she'd just cleared, cursing and fumbling for communications crystals to alert ground units. Dahlia popped up from her roll without breaking stride, her movements fluid as water. She vaulted a ventilation duct, slid under a clothesline heavy with drying sheets, and dropped into a narrow gap between buildings. Her fingers caught a drain pipe, and she used it to control her descent. The metal warm beneath her touch. 3 stories down, she swung through an open window into an abandoned apartment. Dust motes swirled in her wake as she crossed the empty room and slipped into the building's main corridor. The package's recipient lived 2 floors down. She took the stairs 3 at a time, her boots barely making a sound. Outside apartment 4C, Dahlia knocked 3 times, paused, then twice more. The door cracked open, revealing a wizened face beneath a shock of white hair.
You made it,
the old woman said, her voice surprisingly deep.
Did anyone follow you?
Just some of Hask's boys, but I lost them.
Dahlia unstrapped the package, a small wooden box wrapped in oilcloth, and handed it over.
Your medicine, Madame Morsa.
The old woman clutched the package to her chest.
Bless you, child. The elven apothecary charged triple this month. If you hadn't...
Don't mention it.
Dahlia waved away the gratitude, uncomfortable with it.
Just part of the job.
Orsa pressed a small pouch into Dahlia's hand. Coins clinked inside.
For your trouble.
Dahlia hesitated, but took it. They needed the money.
Stay well, madame.
Back outside, Dahlia slipped through shadowed alleys, doubling back several times to ensure she wasn't followed. The human district sprawled beneath the floating elven cities. A dark, damp contrast to the sun-bathed elven spires above. By the time she had reached the hideout, an abandoned storage unit behind a defunct factory, the tingle in her muscles had faded. It always did when she stopped moving. Malik looked up from his workbench as she entered, his weathered face creasing into a smile. Maps covered every surface, some marked with guard rotations, others showing hidden passages through the city.
You made it back,
he said, relief evident in his voice.
We were getting worried.
I had to take the scenic route.
Dahlia tossed a coin pouch onto the table. It landed with a satisfying clink.
Hask's thugs are getting better at predicting my routes. I need some new paths for next time.
Working on it.
Malik gestured to a map spread before him.
This section here, the old aqueduct system, not fully mapped yet, but it could provide cover for...
The hideout door banged open. Ren stormed in, her intricate tattoos seeming to writhe with her agitation.
We've got a problem.
Dahlia tensed.
What kind?
The paying kind.
Ren dropped a folded paper onto the table, disturbing Malik's careful arrangement. Big job, very big. Malik frowned.
How big?
The kind that could set us up for months.
Ren's eyes gleamed.
Or get us killed.
Dahlia picked up the paper, unfolding it to reveal an elegant script she recognized as Elven.
Who's the client?
she asked.
Anonymous?
Ren shrugged.
Left this with my contact at Broken Tusk. Said they pay half up front, half on completion.
Dahlia scanned the note.
They want us to steal from an elven noble. Are you insane? Read the amount.
Ren tapped the bottom of the page. Dahlia's eyes widened.
This can't be right. Triple-checked it myself.
Ren said, a rare smile crossing her face.
That's enough to relocate. Maybe even buy our way into one of those middle tiers.
The door opened again, and Finn sauntered in, sandy blonde hair damp with sweat. He froze when he noticed their expressions.
What did I miss?
Dahlia handed him the note.
Potential suicide mission?
Finn whistled as he read.
Or a potential retirement plan.
He looked up, an excited glint in his eye.
I vote yes. It's not a democracy,
Dahlia muttered.
No, it's a reality check, Finn countered. Hask doubled protection fees. Shops are closing. How long before he finds us?
Malik sighed.
Yes, the boy has a point. We can't stay ahead of Hask forever. And if we're caught stealing from elves?
Dahlia challenged.
It won't be a fine or a beating. It will be execution. Only if we're caught?
Finn's perpetual smirk returned.
And when was the last time anyone caught you, doll? This isn't some medicine run, she argued. They want us to break into a vault, during a gala, no less.
Perfect cover, Finn insisted.
All those elves, too busy preening to notice a few humans slipping in. Besides, the target is an enhancement artifact, the kind that you wonder about.
Dahlia hesitated. These rare elven devices might explain her own abilities.
Fine, she finally said. But we case the place thoroughly first. Any hint that it's a trap, and we walk. Agreed?
Nods all around, though Finn's came a beat too late.
What's the matter? Dahlia asked. Thought you were eager for this job. I am, Finn replied. Just surprised you agreed so quickly.
Dahlia shrugged, uncomfortable with how well he could read her.
Like you said, Hask is closing in. Maybe it's time to take a bigger risk.
Later that night, Dahlia slipped out alone. She needed to think, and thinking came easier in motion. She went to the maintenance scaffolding beneath the floating islands, a chaotic web few humans dared, but her playground. Leaping between beams, her movements grew faster, more fluid as magic flowed, warm and electric. She flipped, twisted, vaulted, testing her limits. Why could she do this when other humans couldn't? Why did ambient magic flow into her body but not others? Questions she'd asked since childhood without answers. Her foot slipped. For a moment, she swung over the abyss, fingers gripping. Calm washed over her. Magic surged, and she pulled herself up one-handed. She lay on the beam, heart pounding, staring up at the moss-covered stone of the floating island. The answers were up there, among the elves. They had to be. 3 days later, Dahlia adjusted the collar of her servant's uniform, uncomfortable in the stiff fabric. Around her, genuine elven servants bustled through the kitchen of Aurelian Manor, preparing canapes and filling crystal flutes with luminescent drinks.
Stop fidgeting,
Ren hissed, passing by with a tray.
You look like you're about to bolt. Just stay focused,
Dahlia muttered back.
Finn, are you in position?
The tiny crystal tucked behind her ear hummed softly with Finn's voice.
And the service corridor outside the study. No guard here yet. They must have changed rotation.
Dahlia frowned. The entire plan hinged on the guard schedules Malik had mapped.
Malik, update.
Malik's voice crackled through the crystal.
Observation post secure. Main hall visible. Guest list accurate, but security is heavier. 5 guards with enhancement bands. They'll spot magic use. Change of plans,
Dahlia decided.
I'll create the distraction sooner. Finn, be ready to move on my signal. Ren, stay visible in the kitchen as our alibi.
Dahlia picked up a tray of drinks and moved into the main hall. The gala was in full swing, with elven nobility draped in jewels and finery. Their laughter rang false to her ears, brittle as thin ice. She navigated the crowd, her eyes scanning for her target, the house steward. According to their intelligence, he wore the keys to the vault on a chain around his neck. There, a tall elf with silver hair and a pinched expression, directing servants with imperious hand gestures. Dahlia moved toward him, timing her steps to intercept his path. As she passed a tall potted plant, she nudged it slightly. She stumbled against the steward, her tray tilting. Luminescent drinks splashed his tunic.
You clumsy fool!
He sputtered, shoving her back.
I'm so sorry, sir.
Dahlia stammered, affecting a terrified expression as she blotted at his clothes with a napkin. Her fingers briefly brushed the keychain, confirming its presence.
Get out of my sight!
The steward pushed her away.
Go fetch cleaning supplies immediately!
Yes, sir. Right away, sir.
Dahlia ducked her head and hurried toward the service corridor, pressing her communications crystal.
Finn, steward's keys confirmed. Ready for distraction in 3 minutes. Get to the vault.
On it, came Finn's terse reply. Dahlia slipped into a small alcove off the main corridor and retrieved a tiny pouch from her sleeve. Inside was a fine powder, crushed sandwall petals, harmless, but potent enough to trigger the manor's magical detection systems when introduced to the air circulation vents. She located the nearest vent and sprinkled the powder inside, then quickly moved to the opposite side of the hall and repeated the process. Seconds later, warning chimes sounded throughout the manor.
Alert! Unknown substance detected in East Wing air circulation,
announced a disembodied voice.
All guests, please proceed to the central hall for security verification.
Guards moved smoothly into action, herding confused nobles towards the center of the house, away from the vault in the west wing.
Finn, you're clear.
Dahlia whispered into her crystal, then louder to the nearest guard.
Sir, what should the kitchen staff do?
As she'd hoped, the distraction worked. While guards organized the evacuation, Finn had 5 uninterrupted minutes to access the vault. More than enough time for someone with his skills. Dahlia joined the other servants gathering nervously in the kitchen, playing her part while mentally counting down. 4 minutes to vault access, 3 minutes to locate the artifact, 2 minutes to secure it and begin extraction. Her crystal hummed.
I'm in,
Finn whispered.
but Dahl, this isn't right.
What do you mean?
She asked under her breath, turning away from the others.
No artifact, just papers.
Grab them and go.
Wait, your name's on these. Dahlia Reed, it's a whole file.
Ice formed in her stomach.
Pictures, reports, years back. Someone's been watching you.
The implications hit her. This wasn't a random job. Someone had deliberately lured her here. But why?
Abort, she said. Grab what you can and get out, now.
Too late,
Finn replied, his tone suddenly different.
Company.
The crystal went silent. Dahlia cursed under her breath. She needed to extract Finn and get them all out before whatever trap this was closed completely.
Stomach tremble,
she murmured to a nearby servant, clutching her abdomen.
Bathroom?
The servant pointed toward a narrow door. Dahlia slipped through, then broke into a run once out of sight. The service corridors formed a maze, but Malik had memorized the layout. 3 lefts, a right, past the wine cellar. She heard voices, ducked into a linen closet. 2 guards passed.
False alarm,
one said.
Pull in.
At least we caught the thief.
The other added.
Stealing old papers.
Dahlia's breath caught. They had Finn. She can't save him by herself, but she needed to see those documents for herself before escaping. If this was related to her abilities, it could answer questions she'd carried her entire life. She slipped from the closet and continued toward the vault, moving more cautiously now. The hall outside the vault was empty, the heavy door hanging open. Inside, papers were scattered across the floor where Finn must have dropped them. Dahlia quickly gathered what she could, scanning the contents. Blood test results, magical sensitivity measurements, surveillance records showing her running across rooftops, the images capturing the faint amber glow that sometimes emanated from her skin during prolonged movement. One page showed her metrics beside other subjects. Most died during the acceleration process. Footsteps echoed in the corridor. Dahlia stuffed the papers into her uniform, preparing to flee. But as she turned to leave, her gaze locked with violet eyes watching her from the doorway. An elven woman stood there, tall and elegant, with silver white hair braided elaborately atop her head. She wore scholar's robes, modified with practical leather accents at wrists and collar. Not a guard. Not yet raising an alarm.
Fascinating, the woman said softly. You actually exist.
Dahlia tensed, ready to fight or run.
Who are you? Someone who has questions.
The woman's eyes flicked to the papers in Dahlia's hand.
About the same things you're questioning, I suspect.
Lady Silaria!
A guard's voice called from somewhere nearby.
Are you there? The vault's been breached!
The elven woman, Silaria, held Dahlia's gaze for one more heartbeat, then stepped back.
Go. Third door left to the garden. North wall, maintenance ladder.
Dahlia hesitated. Go, Silaria insisted,
before I reconsider.
Dahlia ran. News of the theft spread through the human district by morning. The speed thief had struck again, stealing valuable artifacts from elven nobility. Dahlia listened to the rumors from her perch on a water tower, knowing none of it was true. There had been no artifact, only information about her. Her crew's hideout was compromised. They needed to relocate, and quickly. She made her way through back alleys, avoiding the increasing guard patrols, and slipped through the hidden entrance behind the defunct factory. The scene inside stopped her cold. Furniture overturned, maps torn from walls, equipment smashed, and at its center, Malik sat clutching a bloodied arm, while Ren paced furiously.
What happened?
Dahlia rushed to Malik's side.
Guards.
He winced as she examined his wound.
Not regular patrol. Archmage's guard. Asked for you specifically.
Dahlia tightened her jaw.
I don't know how they found out so fast, but first we need to figure out how to get Finn back,
Dahlia said, already calculating possible rescue scenarios. Ren stopped pacing and gave a bitter laugh.
Finn, you still want to rescue that backstabbing snake?
What's you talking about?
He was captured during the job.
Was he?
Ren crossed her tattooed arms.
Funny how guards knew where to find us, within hours of his capture. You think he gave us up?
Dahlia couldn't hide her disbelief.
Someone matching his description was seen talking to elven guards near the crossroads. Yes,
Malik said quietly.
Before they hit us here. Too specific to be a coincidence.
But he wouldn't... Dahlia started, but doubt crept into her voice. Something about his capture had seemed too easy, too convenient.
Maybe not willingly at first, Ren acknowledged, but offer a man the right incentive.
The possibility of betrayal stung worse than she'd expected.
Need to move. Now. Already on it.
Malik nodded toward packed bags in the corner.
Ren's contact in the Scales district can hide us for a few days.
Dahlia shook her head.
You two go. I need to figure out what this is about.
She pulled out the crumpled papers.
Someone has been studying me, tracking my abilities, and Finn's involved somehow.
Malik frowned.
All the more reason to lie low.
And if they come for me at the safe house? Put you in danger? Dahlia stuffed the papers back into her pocket. "No. I'll find out what's going on, and I will meet you in 3 days. Old dead drop." They argued, but eventually agreed to the plan. After helping them gather the remaining supplies, Dahlia headed to the one place Finn would go to sell her out, the Undercity markets. The markets sprawled beneath the human district, occupying ancient sewer systems and forgotten foundations. Here, anything could be bought or sold, including information. Dahlia pulled her hood lower, skirting the main thoroughfares, listening for any mention of Finn. A flickering shopfront caught her eye. A pawnbroker who sometimes fenced goods for them. Through the grimy window, she spotted a familiar head of sandy blonde hair. Finn, huddled in conversation with a hooded figure. Dahlia slipped into the shop next door and out its back entrance, circling around to follow as the pair left the pawnbrokers. They wound through increasingly deserted tunnels, finally entering an abandoned workshop. She crept closer, positioning herself beneath a broken window where their voices drifted out.
"I have given you everything,"
Finn was saying, his tone desperate.
"The plans, the safe houses, her routes. I told you how her ability works."
"And yet you failed to capture her," a cold voice replied. "Your intelligence was inadequate."
"I did my part. You promised enhancement when she's in custody."
"And you shall have it, then."
"She trusts me. Or she did. Let me lure her out again."
"Your usefulness in that capacity has ended." The cold voice hardened further. "However, there may be another way that you can serve our purposes."
"What do you mean?"
"We need data on her ability's limits against an enhanced opponent. With temporary enhancement, you could provide that test."
"Fight her?"
Finn sounded shocked. "Push her to her maximum output."
"I didn't sign up to be a lab rat."
The sound of approaching boots interrupted him. Dahlia pressed herself against the wall as guards marched past the alley, heading for the workshop entrance.
"The Archmage's guard," the cold voice said, "right on schedule. They believe the speed thief has been tracked to this location."
You're setting me up?"
Finn's panic was audible.
"On the contrary, I'm offering you an opportunity. This device,"
a small click,
"contains an enhancement vapor. Inhale it, confront the guards, escape. Prove the enhancement works against trained opponents. Then we will discuss your permanent enhancement."
"And if I refuse?"
"The guards will find a thief with stolen documents. I am merely a concerned citizen who spotted suspicious activity."
Dahlia had heard enough. Finn had betrayed her, not just once, but consistently, systematically. And now he was being manipulated by someone who wanted to study her abilities. She needed to leave before guards surrounded the area. As she turned, her foot dislodged a stone, clattering loudly. Silence from inside the workshop. Then,
"Check outside."
Dahlia ran. Behind her, the workshop door banged open. She heard Finn's voice call her name, followed by the sounds of pursuit. She hit the main tunnel sprinting, magic flowing as she accelerated. She cut through market stalls, knocking over displays. Merchants cursed, patrons scattered, guards shouted. She burst out of the Undercity onto a main street, startling pedestrians. Too many witnesses, too many guards. Elven patrols had increased tenfold since the theft. She needed to get off the streets. Ahead, a maintenance ladder led to the rooftops. Dahlia leapt, catching the lowest rung, and pulled herself up with magically enhanced strength. By the time guards reached the spot, she was already sprinting across the roof. But now she faced a problem. Her usual hiding spots were compromised. Finn knew every safe house, every dead drop, every escape route.
She was cut off from Malik and Ren, and the entire city guard was hunting the speed thief. She needed to go somewhere they wouldn't look for a human, somewhere impossible. Dahlia turned her eyes upward, to the floating elven cities above. The maintenance shafts connecting the human district to the floating cities were officially off-limits to humans. In practice, workers used them daily. Waste had to be removed, deliveries made, repairs completed. But during curfew hours, the shifts were guarded. Dahlia watched from the shadows as a maintenance crew prepared for the last ascent of the day. 4 humans loaded cleaning supplies onto a mechanical lift, supervised by an elven overseer who looked bored out of his mind. She slipped into a supply closet, finding a maintenance uniform and badge. The ID wouldn't match, but might pass in poor light. Moments later, she joined the back of the crew, head down, another crate of supplies in her arms. The overseer barely glanced at her as he counted heads.
5 workers, he muttered, marking his clipboard. Ascend.
The lift jerked upward, gears grinding. Dahlia kept her face turned away from the other workers, praying none would recognize her or question her presence. Damp stone walls gave way to metal, then polished marble foundations. When the lift stopped, they emerged into a pristine service hallway. The contrast from the human district was jarring. Everything clean, well lit, temperature controlled.
East sector, floors and windows,
the overseer directed.
Return to lift by midnight bell.
The workers dispersed, pushing carts of supplies down different corridors. Dahlia followed a young man with a similar build to her own, maintaining distance. When he turned into a supply closet, she waited until the corridor was empty, then slipped away. Now came the dangerous part. She needed to navigate the upper city without being spotted as an unauthorized human. Maintenance workers were tolerated in service areas, but forbidden in public spaces without escort. Dahlia found an access panel leading to a ventilation shaft. The city's underbelly was a maze of such shafts, designed to circulate magically purified air. Tight for most elves, but navigable for someone of her size. She removed the panel and crawled inside, replacing it behind her. The shaft was immaculately clean, bathed in soft mage light. She crawled forward, using Malik's memorized maps to orient herself. Higher in the floating city, ambient magic grew stronger, seeping into her even without running. A warmth loosening muscles, heightening senses, more intense than ever. An hour of careful navigation brought her to an exit point near the academic district, where, according to her stolen documents, much of the research on human magical potential had been conducted. If answers existed, they'd be there. She peered through the gate. The plaza beyond was elegant but practical, lined with research buildings and libraries rather than the ostentatious mansions of the noble district. Perfect. Dahlia slipped out of the vent, adjusted her maintenance uniform, and kept her head down as she crossed the plaza. Few elves were about at this hour, and those present were absorbed in books or conversation. She approached the largest building, its entrance framed by twisting metal sculptures representing magical flow patterns. The Great Archive of Arcane Studies. Main doors were guarded, service entrances less so. She found a delivery entrance, grabbed an empty crate, and approached a bored guard confidently.
The final delivery,
she said, keeping her tone deferential but matter-of-fact.
Professor's special order.
The guard frowned.
No deliveries scheduled after sunset.
Tell that to the professor. Dahlia shrugged.
He said it's urgent. Something about volatile reagents?
The guard hesitated, clearly unwilling to question a professor's orders.
Fine, but be quick about it.
Dahlia slipped inside, abandoning the crate once out of sight. The service corridors led deeper into the building, mage light brightening and dimming with motion. She navigated by instinct,
following the flow of ambient magic, stronger in some corridors than others. A strange pull guided her towards a specific wing. The magic felt different here, more focused, almost sentient. She followed it to a door marked Department of Comparative Magical Physiology. Inside was a laboratory that made her skin crawl. Examination tables with restraints, magical measuring devices, specimen jars containing what looked disturbingly like human tissue samples, and on the walls, charts tracking various subjects and their responses to magical stimuli. Dahlia found a records cabinet and began searching for her name. The files were organized by subject number rather than name, forcing her to skim each one.
I thought you might come here.
The voice startled her. Dahlia whirled to find Lady Silaria standing in a doorway she hadn't noticed, leading to an inner office.
Phew,
Dahlia breathed, dropping into a defensive stance.
there's no need for that.
Silaria said calmly.
If I wanted to capture you, I would have brought guards. Why should I trust you?
Dahlia demanded.
You shouldn't.
Silaria moved to a workbench, activating a mage light.
But I'm not the one who's been studying you like a lab specimen. That would be Lord Valen, my father's rival. Why would an archmage care about a human courier?
Silaria picked up a file from her desk and handed it to Dahlia.
Because you're a human who can naturally absorb ambient magic, something they thought eliminated centuries ago.
Dahlia opened the file. Historical documents, ancient texts, images of humans with extraordinary abilities.
Humans once had this ability?
She asked, disbelieving.
Not all, but many.
Silaria confirmed.
Different types, too. Some absorb magic through movement, like you. Others through sound, or emotion, or pain. What's happened?
Silaria's expression darkened.
Systematic suppression. Elves feared humans with natural abilities would outpace their new enhancement artifacts. So, they eliminated bloodlines. They killed us,
Dahlia said.
Official histories call it protective population management. Genocide.
Silaria's disgust was evident.
By the time ethical oversight was established, the damage was done. Natural human magic users were all but extinct. Except me. And possibly others.
Silaria leaned against the workbench.
My research suggests the ability might be resurging. Valen also discovered this. Where I see restorative justice, he sees a threat.
Dahlia struggled to process this information.
Why are you telling me this? Why help me?
Silaria met her gaze directly.
Because my father's grand vision of elven superiority is built on stolen power and historical lies. Because I have spent my life watching humans struggle beneath floating cities that should have benefited everyone. And because...
She stopped, then continued more softly.
Because I saw you running across the rooftops last year during my field research. I have never seen anyone move like that. Like you were a part of the magic itself.
A distant alarm interrupted the moment. Silaria tensed.
Someone's discovered the breach. We need to...
The building shook with sudden force. Dust fell from the ceiling.
What was that?
Dahlia asked.
Not security protocol.
Silaria hurried to a control panel on the wall, activating a viewing portal. The magical window showed the plaza outside, where elven guards battled a single figure moving with unnatural speed.
Finn.
Dahlia recognized him instantly.
He's enhanced.
On the viewing portal, Finn tore through a guard formation, his movements jerky but devastatingly effective. Unlike Dahlia's fluid grace, his enhanced state looks painful, forced,
but undeniably powerful.
Valen's test subject, Silaria murmured, deliberately drawing attention here.
He's looking for me, Dahlia realized, using himself as bait.
The building shook again as Finn smashed something against its outer wall. Warning chimes sounded throughout the structure.
You can't stay here,
Silaria decided, moving to a cabinet and retrieving a small device.
This access charm will get you to my private quarters in the Archmage's towers. Wait for me there.
And why would I do that?
Because my father's returning tonight, and all exits from the upper city will be sealed.
Silaria pressed the charm into Dahlia's hand.
And because I can help you understand what you are.
More alarms joined the first. The sounds of fighting grew closer.
Go,
Silaria urged.
North exit 3 levels up. The charm will guide you.
Dahlia hesitated only a moment before nodding.
If this is a trap,
it isn't,
Silaria assured her.
But if you believe it is, throw the charm away once you're clear of this building. Just get out before Valen's pet project brings the entire guard down on us.
Dahlia looked at the viewing portal one last time. Finn had broken through another line of guards, moving even closer to the building. His face was contorted in a mixture of pain and exhilaration. Enhancement magic wasn't meant for human physiology. At least not the crude versions available through artifacts. It was burning him from inside.
Thank you,
Dahlia said, then slipped out the door into the corridor beyond. The access charm pulsed warmly in her hand, tugging her toward the north exit. She followed, grateful for the distraction caused by Finn's rampage. Guards rushed past her without a second glance, focused on the greater threat outside. As Dahlia reached the upper levels, she felt her own magic absorption intensify. The ambient magic here was dense, concentrated, likely because of proximity to the floating castle's levitation array. Her muscles responded eagerly, movements becoming lighter, faster. She burst through the north exit onto a rooftop garden. The floating city spread before her. Towers, spires, terraced platforms, bridges of seeming moonlight. The Archmage's tower rose highest, a spiraling monument. Behind her, crashes and shouts indicated Finn had breached the building. She needed to move. Dahlia vaulted over the garden wall onto an adjacent rooftop, the magic now flowing through her so intensely that she felt she could fly. She sprinted across the roof, leapt to the next building, and continued across the upper city in a spectacular display of parkour. The distances between buildings were far greater than in a human district, but with her magically enhanced abilities at full strength, Dahlia cleared them effortlessly. She flipped over walls, slid under archways, danced along railings with inhuman grace. Guards spotted her from a patrol skiff, shouting and changing course to intercept. Dahlia didn't slow down. If anything, the pursuit energized her further. The longer she moved, the stronger the magic flowed. She cut across a public plaza, startling elven citizens who gasped at the human girl moving faster than their enhanced eyes could track. A guard stepped into her path, enhancement band glowing on his wrist. Dahlia didn't break stride. She ran straight up a decorative column, flipped over his head, and continued onward before he could turn. The Archmage's tower loomed closer now. Silaria's charm pulled her toward a maintenance entrance on the eastern face, just 50 yards away. 30. 10. A figure crashed down in front of her, cracking the marble pavement. Finn straightened, his eyes wild, blood trickling from his nose and ears. The enhancement was killing him, but he either didn't know or didn't care.
Found you,
he panted, grinning manically.
I knew you'd come up here. Always pushing boundaries, weren't you, doll?
Dahlia stopped, maintaining distance.
Finn, look at yourself. The enhancement is tearing you apart. It's worth it.
He spat.
Watching you get faster, stronger, special. While we scrambled for scraps,
No, Valen. He promised me permanent enhancements.
He lied, Dahlia said flatly. Look at the historical records. Human bodies can't handle artificial enhancement. It's why they tried to breed us out instead.
More lies!
Finn launched himself at her, moving in a blur. Fast as he was, Dahlia was faster. She sidestepped his attack, using his momentum against him. He crashed into a fountain, shattering the stone basin. I never lied to you, Finn, she said as he struggled to his feet. Never kept secrets. I didn't understand what was happening to me either.
Oh, fucking bullshit! You loved being special, leaving us behind!
He attacked again, a flurry of enhanced punches and kicks. Dahlia dodged most, but one caught her in the shoulder, spinning her around. The impact hurt, but also sent a fresh surge of magic through her system. She recovered instantly, flipping backward to create distance. I protected you, she countered. All of you. Used my abilities to keep our crew safe, fed, protected.
You made us targets!
Finn's voice cracked.
The famous speed thief and her sidekicks. I was nothing next to you. Nothing!
He grabbed a broken piece of fountain and hurled it at her with enhanced strength. Dahlia ducked, but the diversion allowed Finn to close the distance. He tackled her, sending them both skidding across the plaza. They grappled, rolling across polished stone. Despite his enhancement, Dahlia matched him move for move. The ambient magic of the upper city flowed into her unrestricted now, responding to her heightened state.
I trusted you,
she said through gritted teeth as they struggled.
You were family. Family doesn't leave family behind. But you'd have left us as soon as you knew what made you special.
With a surge of strength, Dahlia broke his grip and kicked him away. They both scrambled to their feet, circling each other. Behind Finn, elven guards approached cautiously, enhancement bands ready. That's why you did it? Dahlia asked incredulously. Betrayed me, endangered Malik and Ren, because you thought I'd abandon you?
I did it because Valen promised equality.
Vin snarled.
No more enhancement elves lording over humans. No more special people like you leaving the rest of us behind. Everyone enhanced, everyone equal.
A slow clapping interrupted them. From the shadows of a nearby archway stepped an elf with unnaturally black hair and cold, gray eyes. His robes were elegant, but practical, marked with the sigils of an archmage. Touching reunion, Lord Valen remarked. An informative field fest. Natural absorber versus artificially enhanced. Guards formed a perimeter around the plaza, cutting off escape routes. Dahlia tensed, preparing to fight or run. Finn swayed on his feet, the enhancement clearly taking its toll.
You promised,
Finn slurred, turning to Valen.
Permanent enhancement.
And you'll have it, Valen assured him smoothly. Once we've completed our analysis of your friend's unique physiology. Her genetic material is the key to making the enhancement permanent and safe for humans. Dahlia backed away, eyes darting between Valen, Finn, and the guards. You're losing control of him, she observed, nodding toward Finn. Enhancement was never meant for human bodies. A temporary flaw, Valen dismissed. One I'll correct, with your cooperation, willing or otherwise. My father will never approve this research, came a new voice. Silaria stepped into the plaza from another entrance, flanked by her own contingent of guards, wearing the Archmage Talris's insignia. Lady Silaria. Valen inclined his head mockingly.
How fortunate you're here to witness history. Your father is about to become irrelevant. Is he?
Silaria raised an eyebrow. Because it looks to me like you're conducting illegal human experimentation, stealing enhancement artifacts to cover your tracks, and framing innocent people as the speed thief.
Your father held back progress for centuries, Valen snapped. Hoarding enhancement magic for elves while humans suffer. My research changes that.
By exploiting the very humans you claim to help? Silaria countered. You're not interested in equality. You want weapons. Human weapons enhanced to fight your political battles.
Valen's facade of civility cracked.
Humans should be grateful for any enhancement. Better to be useful tools than useless vermin.
Throughout this exchange, Dahlia watched Finn. The enhancement was reaching critical failure. Blood now freely flowed from his eyes and ears, his breathing ragged. Despite everything, she couldn't let him die.
Finn needs medical attention, she interrupted. The enhancement is killing him.
Valen waved dismissively.
A necessary sacrifice for progress.
Finn's expression changed as the words registered. The betrayal hit him visibly, shoulders slumping, eyes widening in shock.
You said... You promised. I needed data.
Valen shrugged.
You provided it. Your usefulness is at an end.
With a broken cry, Finn launched himself at Valen. Guards moved to intercept, but enhanced speed got him through their line. His fist connected with Valen's face, sending the Archmage sprawling. Chaos erupted. Valen's guards clashed with Silaria's. Magical energies flashed across the plaza. Finn collapsed, the last of his enhancement burning out along with his vital energy. Dahlia ran to him, dodging magical crossfire. She slid to his side, cradling his head.
Dal,
he whispered, blood bubbling at his lips.
I didn't know. I thought he'd help us all.
I know,
she said softly.
Just hold on. We're gonna get you help.
He gripped her wrist with fading strength.
Ren, Matic, they're in danger. Valen asked them. Warehouse, district.
Horror washed through her.
Where? Which warehouse?
Old Spice Import. Near the left.
His eyes began to lose focus.
I'm sorry, Dal.
Just stay with me, Finn. We'll fix this.
But his body convulsed, enhancement magic burning through the last of his resistance. With a final, shuddering breath, Finn went still. Dahlia covered his eyes gently, grief and rage warring within her. Around them, the battle continued. Valen had recovered, blasting Silaria's guards with arcane energy. Silaria herself maintained a defensive shield, protecting her forces. Dahlia laid Finn's body down and stood, magic surging through her veins, fueled by emotion as much as movement now. The ambient energy responded to her rage, coalescing around her until her skin glowed with amber light. She moved with impossible speed, beside Valen before he could react. Her fist doubled him over. Guards tried to intervene. She was too fast, flowing between them.
You killed him!
She snarled at Valen, landing another punishing blow.
You're killing my friends! And for what? Power? Politics?
Valen staggered back, blood trickling from his mouth.
For the future,
he gasped. He raised his hand, a control crystal gleaming between his fingers.
Your friends die tomorrow unless I send the counter signal. Surrender now, or their deaths are on your conscience.
Dahlia hesitated, and in that moment, Valen struck. A blast of concentrated magic hit her squarely in the chest, sending her flying across the plaza. She crashed into a pillar, stone cracking under the impact. Pain blossomed, but with it came an unexpected surge of magic absorption. Her body drank in the attack's energy, converting it to strength. She pushed herself up, body healing almost instantly. Valen watched in fascination and horror.
Remarkable. You absorb directed magic as well. The possibilities
are nothing, Silaria interrupted, stepping between them. This ends now, Valen. The plaza fell silent as a new contingent of guards arrived, led by an imposing elf with piercing violet eyes identical to Silaria's. Archmage Talris surveyed the scene, his face a cold mask of authority. Though a flicker of something unreadable crossed it as he took in his daughter, Valen, and the uniquely glowing human.
Father,
Silaria acknowledged without turning, her voice steady.
Your arrival is opportune.
What is the meaning of this?
Talris demanded, his voice resonating with power that silenced even the distant city hum.
Silaria, explain why you've deployed my personal guard without authorization, and why Lord Valen appears to be in a state of disarray.
To stop a coup and expose a traitor, Father. Valen conducted illegal human experimentation, stole artifacts to mask it, and framed innocence, and he planned to undermine you and the Council.
Valen straightened, attempting to regain his composure despite his injuries.
Absurd accusations from your wayward daughter, Archmage. The true culprit stands before you, the notorious speed thief who has plagued our city. I tracked her here, to the very heart of her seditious network.
After framing her,
Silaria countered. She gestured to a guard, who stepped forward with a crystal recording device.
Evidence, Father. Valen's own words confessing his crimes and intentions.
The crystal activated, projecting Valen's earlier statement for all to hear.
Your father has held back progress for centuries. My research will change that.
Valen's face contorted with rage.
Deceptive editing! Context removed! She manipulates you!
the full recording is available,
Silaria assured her father coolly.
along with documentation of his illegal research, testimony from his agents, and proof that he orchestrated the artifact thefts. His ambition has made him reckless.
Archmage Talris's gaze, sharp as glacial ice, moved from the projected confession to his daughter, then to the disgraced Valen. The implications, historical, political, personal, were a sudden chasm at his feet. Valen was a long-standing rival, and his removal could consolidate power. Yet Silaria's accusations about their history, that was a deeper, more dangerous current. An Archmage did not show disarray. His voice, when it came, was cold iron.
Lord Valen's actions, if these proofs hold, are a stain upon this city. Secure him. Confiscate all enhancement devices and control crystals in his possession.
As guards moved to comply, Valen made one desperate attempt. He triggered a hidden enhancement, moving with sudden speed toward Dahlia.
If I can't have you as a subject, no one will.
But Dahlia was ready. She met his charge with fluid grace, using his momentum against him. One perfect pivot, and Valen's enhanced rush carried him straight into the arms of Talris's guards.
And secure the human as well,
Talris added, his eyes fixed on Dahlia with wary curiosity.
Her involvement in this debacle, it requires thorough examination.
Father,
Silaria stepped forward, a note of urgency in her voice.
She is a victim of Valen's machinations, not a criminal. And more than that, she possesses information vital to understanding our true history. The very history you tasked me with researching.
Talris frowned, his gaze unwavering.
Explain these extraordinary assertions, daughter, and choose your words carefully.
She is a natural magic absorber, a runner,
Silaria stated, her voice ringing with conviction.
living proof that our ancestors systematically suppressed and perhaps eliminated human magic potential. Proof that the natural elven superiority you have championed, Father, may be built upon a foundation of historical crimes and convenient omissions.
The Archmage's expression darkened further, his silence heavy. The surrounding guard shifted uneasily at the audacity of Silaria's words. These are grave accusations, Silaria. They strike at the very heart of our society.
With grave evidence to support them,
Silaria countered.
evidence Valen himself uncovered in the ancient archives. That is why he's been experimenting, desperate to control or weaponize this resurfacing human potential before the truth could challenge the established order.
A tense silence fell over the plaza. Dahlia watched the interaction gracefully, ready to run if necessary, though the magic flowing through her was beginning to ebb as her emotional surge subsided. The weight of the Archmage's stare was palpable.
One matter remains urgent,
she interrupted, her voice clear despite the tension.
Valen has captured my friends. They are innocents of his schemes.
Talrus turned his piercing gaze on her.
And you are? The closest thing to the speed thief,
Dahlia admitted, meeting his gaze without flinching.
Though I never stole enhancement artifacts. My crimes were delivering medicine to those your apothecaries overcharge, and food to those that your system leaves hungry.
Silaria pressed her advantage.
Father, Valen is a clear and present threat. His treason must be dealt with, and if there is any semblance of justice, it must begin with freeing those unjustly imprisoned by him.
Talrus was silent for a long moment, his expression unreadable as he weighed the undeniable evidence against Valen against the far-reaching, potentially cataclysmic implication of Silaria's historical claims. Finally, he gave a curt nod.
The detained humans, if pawns, will be questioned. Valen faces council censure, and you, he addressed Dahlia, will submit to magical examination under Silaria's supervision to verify these assertions. Your cooperation is not optional.
It wasn't freedom, but it was a reprieve from execution and a chance for Malik and Wren.
I will cooperate,
Dahlia stated.
on the condition that my friends are released unharmed and unconditionally.
A flicker of surprise, or perhaps irritation at being bargained with, crossed Talrus's face.
Their release will be contingent upon the findings of their interrogation. However, he conceded, Lady Silaria will oversee the process as well to ensure its fairness. He then turned to his daughter. You have staked much on this, Silaria. See that your discoveries withstand scrutiny.
Silaria met Dahlia's eye. A complex emotion, relief, determination, warning in her gaze.
I will ensure the examinations are conducted ethically and thoroughly, Father.
Guards led a fuming, struggling Valen away. Others collected Finn's body with a surprising, almost ritualistic gentleness. Dahlia watched, emotions still raw.
I am sorry about your friend,
Silaria said quietly, coming to stand beside her as the plaza began to clear.
Artificial enhancement exacts a terrible price from human physiology.
But I can absorb magic naturally,
Dahlia murmured, the question still echoing within her.
Why?
That,
Silaria promised, her gaze intense,
is what we endeavor to understand, if you are willing to truly explore it.
Dahlia looked at her, an elven noble who had risked everything, challenging her own father and the foundations of their society. She nodded softly. The next day, as city bells tolled noon, Dahlia stood beside Silaria on a high balcony overlooking the examination plaza, where Archmage Talrus addressed a hushed and bewildered crowd of elven nobility and officials. Wren and Malik were not present. Silaria had quietly informed Dahlia that they were being debriefed, but would be released soon.
The investigation into Lord Valen's treasonous conspiracy continues,
Talrus was saying, his voice magically amplified.
His attempt to destabilize the Council through fabricated threats, such as the speed thief, and illicit experimentation has been thwarted. The humans implicated in his schemes are, it appears, victims themselves. They will be released pending further, less urgent review. Dahlia watched, noting the careful wording. No full exoneration, but a public distancing from Valen's narrative. Furthermore, Talrus continued, tension rising, Lady Silaria has found ancient texts and anomalies suggesting our historical understanding of interspecies magical development is incomplete. I sanction a commission of historical and arcane review, headed by Silaria, under council oversight. Findings will be presented for deliberation. It was far from a revolution, Dahlia knew. It was bureaucratic, cautious, and steeped in elven self-preservation. But it was also a crack, a tiny fissure in centuries of entrenched dogma, forced open by Valen's greed and Silaria's courage. Not freedom or equality, not yet, but the faintest possibility of a different future. After the announcement, Silaria led Dahlia to a private chamber. Malik and Ren are being processed for release now, she said. My father is not easily moved. The commission is a significant concession, but also a way for him to control the narrative. He is a politician above all. And the compensation for my friends? Dahlia asked, recalling Valen's threat. Silaria managed a small, wry smile. There will be recompense for unjust detention facilitated through my office. Officially, it allows the Archmage to maintain a firm stance while quietly mitigating further unrest. Unofficially, her smile widened slightly. It's the least we can do. After the announcement, guards escorted Ren and Malik to a private chamber where Dahlia waited. The reunion was emotional but brief. Too much had changed to simply pick up where they'd left off.
You're staying up here?
Malik asked, surprise evident in his voice. Dahlia nodded. For now. There's so much to learn about why I can do what I can do, and maybe find others like me. Playing lab rat. Ren scoffed lightly. Be careful. Elves change their minds easily. I know. Dahlia assured her. But she's different. And this is bigger than just me. They parted with promises to stay connected. Dahlia providing them with access charms to visit the upper city. Something unheard of for humans without official business. Another small crack in the system. Later, as sunset painted the floating city gold, Dahlia found Silaria waiting on a secluded balcony of the Archmage's tower. Your friends are safely returned to the lower city? Silaria asked. With enough compensation to start fresh, Dahlia confirmed. Your father's idea of making amends? It's politics, Silaria shrugged. What a start. They stood in companionable silence, watching the sun sink below the distant mountains. What happens now? Dahlia finally asked. Now, Silaria said, violet eyes reflecting sunset. We learn about your abilities, our shared history, how to undo centuries of wrongs. Do you really think it'll be that easy? Nothing worth doing ever is. Enough of this for now. Silaria held out her hand, a challenge in her eyes. Race you to the North Tower? Dahlia's answering smile was bright as dawn. You'll lose. I've been studying enhancement artifacts my entire life. Silaria countered, activating bands on both wrists. I think I can keep up. They took off across the rooftops together. Silaria enhanced by ancient elven devices, Dahlia by her own innate gift. Equal in speed, if not yet in social standing. But as they raced beneath the emerging stars, the promise of change hung in the air, as tangible as the magic flowing through Dahlia's veins. Not an ending, but a beginning.